Well, we're breaking down each individual city with the top 10 athletes. Mets, Phillies. Mets trending on the upward and start of July. Phillies had a okay week, and Derby still going on. We got Vladdy versus Rosarena. Let's get into it.
Oh my God! Oh my! Embarrassed! He's flying! Welcome in. It's almost time.
Hello, good evening. Welcome back. Rivals Podcast. I believe this is week number 4. Time is flying by. I'm Luke. He's Jordan. I'm Philly. He's New York. I'm a cool Philly sports fan. He's a scumbag New York fan. Let's get into it with our sponsor.
Our sponsor of tonight is FanUp. FanUp is the best way to enjoy fantasy sports, daily MLB contests, and more. Win great prizes. Sign up today. Use promo code A2D for 5,000 bonus points. That's, again, a $50 value. FanUp in the App Store. And let's kick it off with our poll question. Saquon Barkley is the best athlete in New York today. Agree or disagree? I'll start off with literally no bias. I do believe he is the best athlete in New York, and I'll get into it in a little bit when we break down our top 10. But this guy is he's basically our whole offense for the Giants. You saw what he can do when he was healthy in his rookie year, and you also saw what he can do this past year when he was healthy. Obviously, he has injury problems and he has contract negotiation problems right now, but I hope they can work something out so that he can be playing in the big blue. But yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with the poll and say that Saquon Barkley is the best athlete in New York today.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with anything you just said about Saquon Barkley. I think that what you said was right. However, I definitely 1,000,000% am going to disagree to the poll. Also unbiased, because I actually love Saquon. I'm a Penn State guy. I root for him as much as I can. And you are very, very correct when you say he's like their whole offense. But this is where it kind of gets into your list. I thought about it. I can name 3 guys for sure, debatably 4, but I can name 3 guys for sure right now that are better. And this is where it gets complicated. And we'll get into this as we go through our top 10.
Yeah.
It's hard to say better athlete or more valuable. Because, all right, I'll just throw this one out there. I think that, and we'll get into this later.
I know the first guy you're going to say.
I don't think you do. I think you're – all right, I'll go at him first. It's going to be Judge, I assume, is who – yeah, all right. Yes. So I think Aaron Judge is a better athlete. And it's hard because obviously Saquon, I think if you put him in a combine, would smoke him in a combine. I'm not saying any of that.
It's hard to compare sports. I do agree.
Right. If you're talking value to team, value to city, I do believe that Aaron Judge is more valuable just because, what's going on. We're seeing it right now with the Yankees.
They're crumbling.
Everyone's batting average from 1 to all the way down. Everyone's batting average goes up if Aaron Judge is in the lineup. It's just how it works. They're a much better team.
The Giants' wins go up when Saquon's playing.
You are right about that. But it's hard. It's hard to have this discussion. But I also think, and this is where it's going to – well, are you including Buffalo? Because I think Josh Allen would also be more –
included Buffalo in my list.
Josh Allen is this is undebatable. There's no doubt that Josh Allen is a better athlete than Saquon. And I love Saquon. This is completely unbiased.
I know.
But I think that it's got to be 100% Josh Allen, Aaron Judge, and then this is my hot take that's going to get some heat probably. How about the new guy, Aaron Rodgers? One of the best quarterbacks to ever live.
That's crazy.
I'm taking him over Saquon as well. Close, right. But I'm taking if you think he's more, I'm not calling you an idiot. I see where you're coming from.
It's honestly there's multiple ways, and I agree with you. All 3 of the guys you just mentioned are, I believe, in my top 5. I'd have to double check, but I just don't know how you could not say that Saquon Barkley is the best athlete in New York right now. But should we get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right, let's get our top tens going. You want to pull up a doc so that the fans can see
Yeah,
it?
I'll share the screen real quick. Let's see. Hopefully this works. Okay. Yeah, we're valid. That should work. Are we seeing this?
Yeah, I can see it now. Okay. All right. So I had a bunch of honorable mentions. I actually had 4 honorable mentions. They're good, but they didn't make the list. So my first honorable mention is Lindor. Just a great shortstop. Should have made the All-Star team in my opinion. But obviously missed the cut. Garrett Cole is my second honorable mention. Going to be starting for the AL All-Star team. Andrew Thomas made a big jump this past year. Obviously, got a lot of hate from New York after his first year. Wasn't what he lived up to after Georgia, but definitely stepped up this past year. And then Michael Bridges, coming in from Phoenix after trading Durant and just stepping up, he got him into the play-in game. He led after being the third guy in the Phoenix offense. It's something to see. So those are my 4 honorable mentions. Luke, I don't know if you had any honorable mention.
For New York, I didn't make a.
No. For Philly,
Oh, let's just go through New York first. Let's just
You
tackle
want to go
one at a
through New
time.
York
Yeah, let's just go
first?
one at a
Okay.
time.
All right. So my 10, and this is gonna be a lot because
All right, let's go one down.
You want to go 10-10 or
1 to 10.
one? Oh, you want to go 1 to 10? Okay.
Yeah, it's
All right.
also easier for me to write.
So my 1 is
Barkley.
Barkley. Yeah. Like I said in the beginning, injury struggles, but saw what he can do when healthy. In this past year, he had 13 or 1,312 rush yards, 10 touchdowns, and 338 reception yards. Unfortunately, didn't get in the end zone while receiving. But in his 2018 Rookie of the Year campaign, pretty much had almost identical stats. He had 1,307 rush yards and 11 touchdowns with 720 reception yards and 4 reception touchdowns. I mean, this guy he's something to watch. I think he's one of, if not the most versatile athletes in the game right now. I think he's definitely top 5 in versatility. I think he's top 5 most definitely in most valuable because you see what the Giants are with and without him. They're a whole different team without him. They went 4-13 without him. I mean, he got injured in week 3 against the Bears, and you saw what happened in that season. So his injury definitely affects him a lot when he's not on the field. But that was my number 1. My number 2, and you stated him before, Aaron Judge.
Wow.
Obviously he is he's an animal. I mean, in this past year, 2022 MVP campaign, 62 home runs, breaking the record. 131 RBIs and 311 average. Just a great year. And then he even won Rookie of the Year in 2017 when he had 52 home runs, 114 RBIs, and 284 average. 5-time All-Star, 3-time Silver Slugger. The Yankees are not doing too hot right now. Obviously, you had Domingo Germán and his perfect game, but other than that, they haven't had too many high points in this season so far with Aaron Judge and his toe injury, which I don't know how the fuck he's missing so many games from a goddamn toe injury, but he's got to figure that the fuck out. Number 3, and this is gonna be throw a wrench in. I don't know how you're gonna feel about this one. Edwin Diaz. Now,
Oh my God.
Edwin Diaz. You can see how the Mets bullpen is doing without him. They are doing horribly. David Robertson is nowhere near Edwin Diaz. Edwin Diaz in 2022 went 32 of 35 with a 1.31 ERA, and he had 17.1 Ks per 9, dude. How can you replace that? You can't. And it's truly showing. Granted, the Mets starters aren't getting them in the shape that they need to bring in the closer. But when they do, sometimes it doesn't work out in their favor. The back end of the bullpen is nowhere near what it used to be last year when they had Ottavino in the 8th and then Diaz in the 9th. obviously a 2-time All-Star and a 2-time reliever of the year. So he was my number 3. Number 4, new guy in town, Aaron Rodgers. Again, probably a top 5 quarterback all time if I had to guess. Career stats: 59,000 pass yards, 475 touchdowns. A 10-time Pro Bowler, a 4-time All-Pro, 4-time MVP, and a 1-time Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP. He's a dog. Like I'm interested to see what he does with this young Jets offense. You know, you got Garrett Wilson, you got Brees Hall coming back from injury. They brought over Lazard. They still got Conklin and Ozama at the tight ends. Their offensive line, they've been building these past couple of years. It'll be interesting to see what Rodgers does now that they have a quarterback other than Zach Wilson, who's out there fucking milfs. Number 5, Josh Allen. Josh
Holy
Allen.
disrespectful.
Josh Allen.
Jesus.
Listen, he's. I'm not, no disrespect to Josh Allen. Josh Allen is probably a top 3 quarterback in the NFL right now, and I'll say that with full confidence. However, he is young. His career is young, and he hasn't had much success in the playoffs. His career stats are 18.4 thousand passing yards, 138 passing touchdowns, 3,000 rushing yards, and 38 rushing touchdowns. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler, 2nd-team All-Pro, highest passer rating in the postseason. That's a record. So you know, Josh Allen does make a huge impact, but I think my top 4 made a bigger impact for their teams than Josh Allen. Moving on, number 6. This is gonna get a lot of hate from you because I already can fucking feel it in you. Pete Alonso. 2019 rookie campaign. He had 53 homers, 120 RBIs, and 260 average. Career 172 homers, 441 RBIs, and 254 average. He was the 2019 Rookie of the Year and a 2-time home run derby champ. Unfortunately, got fucking smoked tonight by Julio Rodriguez. Hats off to him, by the way, because that was an absolute masterclass with 41 home runs. But you know, Pete is the only bat in the Mets lineup right now that can produce power. Granted, you have Brandon Nimmo, who has 13 home runs. Lindor has 17, who I mentioned as an honorable mention, but none of their bats compare to Pete Alonso's. I mean, they were horrible with him out of the lineup. They had Canha filling in at first base. They had Vientos filling in at first base. No one can replace Pete Alonso, and they're going to need to sign him this upcoming offseason. Hopefully they pay the man because he deserves it. Moving on, number 7, another new guy in town, Jalen Brunson. Career 14.3 points per game, 49.3 field goal percentage. But again, he was a shooting guard behind Luka Doncic. But in this past year with the Knicks, 24 points per game, 49.1 field goal percentage, 6.2 assists per game. And he led the Knicks to the playoffs and even won their first round matchup versus the Cavs. Granted, you also have Julius Randle, you have RJ Barrett. They had some clutch performances down the line, but Jalen Brunson was the main factor in the Knicks getting their first playoff win in a while. I can't remember the last time they've won one. But you know, I hope it's for many to come. I hope they can get another guy to surround him, maybe even moving Barrett or Randle. Obviously, that wouldn't be ideal, but if it's to get a better star, I'm all for it. Number 8, Dexter Lawrence. Career 97 assisted tackles, 116 solo, 16 and a half sacks. This past year, 2nd-team All-Pro. The only 2 guys that were better than him were Quinton Williams and Chris Jones. 3rd in total tackles this past season for the Giants, and helped the Giants defense to the first playoff victory since 2011. That's pretty fucking sad. The last time they were in the playoffs was 2016. They got smoked by Green Bay. Odell Beckham was a complete no-show. So yeah, just a big part of this Giants defense that, you know, they can hopefully build. Wink Martindale, you saw what he can do. Defensive coordinator, and Brian Daboll, I mean, he brought a new mantra to this Giants team. I'm really looking forward to this next season. Number 9, Josh Allen's favorite weapon, Stephon Diggs. In 3 years with Josh Allen and the Bills, he has 4,100 yards and 29 touchdowns. His accolades are first team All-Pro 2020, second team All-Pro 2022, and a 3-time Pro Bowler. He led the league in receptions and receiving yards in 2020. Stephon Diggs, coming up on fantasy season, he's a guy that you want to get, but just a irreplaceable wide receiver, probably top 5 in my opinion. You could argue maybe even top 4 or top 3, but he's Josh Allen's favorite guy, and that's for a reason, because being behind or sharing the offense with Adam Thielen didn't do Stephon Diggs justice in Minnesota. But now that he's the lone number 1 in Minnesota, or now that he's lone number 1 in Buffalo, you see what he can do, and it's truly something special to watch. He's one of my favorite guys to watch on Sundays. And then number 10, the rookie, Sauce Gardner. 24 assisted tackles, 51 solo, 2 interceptions. NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year, first team All-Pro, Pro Bowl. I feel like he definitely can move up on this list, but obviously because he's just a rookie, I had to put him at 10, but definitely had to give him some credit. You saw what he did at Cincinnati, and then to elevate it to the pros. I mean, most guys can't elevate it from college to pros, so it was definitely something special to watch, but I enjoyed it despite being a Giants fan. And, we'll see what he can do in year 2. So that was my top 10. What are your critiques on that? I know you definitely got it many.
I mean, first of all, I just want to say it's almost impossible to do something like this perfectly and not have somebody critique it. So just want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Especially this is probably the hardest city to do it in, New York, because there's just so many teams. And
7 teams, and I couldn't even fit in the Rangers, like we talked about pre-show. I couldn't even fit them in. And I mean, you got Panarin, you got Shesterkin, you got Zibanejad, you got Patrick Kane, even some Islanders guys you could throw in, like Bo Horvat or Ilya Sorokin. But yeah, no, definitely plenty of guys that I could have thrown on there, but kind of missed.
Yeah, but I see right through you. I think that there's definitely some New York fandom bias in here. I think that if you weren't a Giants fan, maybe, or whatever, maybe you're a Josh Allen hater, the fact that he's behind a closer, and you know me, I'm a big Judge guy. That's my boy. There's no way Aaron Judge should be ranked ahead of Josh Allen under any list. Josh Allen's a top 4 quarterback, 4 or 5-ish, something like that. You can even make the case right now, maybe that he might be top 3 in some people's eyes too. He's a top 3 to 5 quarterback in the NFL.
I mean, who's better than him? I'm giving Mahomes, and I mean, there's question marks. I mean, I won't do it, but you could throw your boy in front of him. And then
Joe Burrow, maybe
you could throw. I was just about to get to Joe Burrow, but other than that, I think
he should 1,000,000% be higher. Like
Burrow,
no doubt in my mind.
Burrow over Allen.
No. Allen on this list should no doubt be higher.
You think he should be higher than Rodgers, or
Yes. And I also see some bias in you because I know you're a big Mets guy and you are a Knicks fan, but they fall secondary to the Mets. There is no chance. I see somebody just mentioned it in the comments. He's correct. Brunson should 1,010,000% be way higher than that. He maybe should be in the top 4, maybe. When New York Knicks finally have an all-star. I think, again, it's hard to rank these and come up with a criteria in terms of how you want to do it, in terms of athleticism, in terms of resume, in terms of wins and losses. To me, it's very, very, very hard to see Brunson go this far down when the Knicks have been looking for someone of his caliber for so damn long. And when they signed him, a lot of people, including myself, I'm not going to lie, was like, wow, that's a shit ton of money for a guy that hasn't even made an all-star team before in a big market. But he proved everybody wrong. He is a future all-star in the league.
He can lead an offense.
He is a number 1 player, debatably, on a championship team. He's proving that to be. He's the centerpiece of the New York Knicks, which they say is the mecca of basketball, Madison Square Garden. No doubt in my mind, none, not even a little bit, should be higher than the first baseman on a Mets team that currently ranks
That's
below
fair.
500.
That's fair. I had a
There's
little
no
bias.
and on top of that, he should also be ahead of Edwin Diaz.
That is crazy. That is crazy. You do not watch baseball if you are saying that the Mets, Edwin Diaz is a top 3 athlete in New York, and I will stand by that. I will stand by that.
No.
Yes.
And I don't mean it on him, but the reason I say that, and you can call it unfair all you want, if the Mets are getting blown out or if the Mets are blowing somebody out, they don't look to Edwin Diaz. The other thing is Edwin Diaz, again, this is unfair completely for Edwin Diaz, no doubt. He also doesn't play the other side of the ball. The Knicks, when they're winning, when they're losing, when they're tied, when they're in the close game, in the playoffs, no matter what it is, it's the sport he plays, I get it. But they turn to Jalen Brunson. So you can call it the sport they play. You can call it whatever the hell you want. Jalen Brunson should be higher, no doubt. He's the number one player he's the number one player in the biggest market in basketball. He's got to be higher. He's got to be.
I listen. The highest I'd give him is 6 or 5, but I'm not. I'm keeping Edwin Diaz.
I am surprised though that you have Rodgers, and to have him ahead of Josh Allen is also a crazy thing to
do. Rodgers is a better quarterback than Josh Allen. I mean,
right now,
not right now, but career. I looked at it as somewhat of career.
I thought we were ranking current though.
I factored current and career.
Damn. All right. Well, whatever. Do you want to get in the Philly now? I feel like that's about. I did say that I would have Josh Allen at number 1 for me. Oh my God, you totally forgot somebody on this list.
Who did I forget?
Wow, that totally got past me. I can put him right now. I'm looking at it. He should
tell me
be.
You're putting Julius Randle in there.
No, hell no. You probably forgot this guy because there's no excuse for Sauce Gardner, Dexter Lawrence, and even Pete Alonso. Even your boy Diaz should not be ahead of this guy.
That is crazy. Let's hear it.
Garrett Cole is the ace. He's starting.
Dude, Garrett Cole is one of my honorable mentions.
I didn't even hear that, and the fact that he's not on this list is absolutely disgraceful. You're gonna have Pete Alonso on this list and not Garrett Cole? Are you nuts?
Yes.
Garrett Cole's starting in the All-Star game. You can call whatever you want. Whatever you want. The Yankees struggles. When he's pitching, their record is way better.
That's fine. He's 1 out of 5. He's playing 1 out of 5 games. Pete Alonso plays every game.
Okay,
Again,
but
you want
to put
both sides of the ball. Garrett Cole plays 1 out of every 5 games.
I get it, but I'm judging your list. I'm judging your list, and you have Diaz at 3. So yes. we're on this, and Garrett Cole pitches 95, 100 pitches a game.
When Edwin Diaz is pitching, when Edwin Diaz is pitching, he probably throws every other game.
All right. If you have Garrett Cole pitching in a game, you don't even need Edwin Diaz in that night.
Wow, Sholo, man. Alonso impact is more than Cole.
I disagree with that. I completely disagree with that. If we're talking about the impact that aces have on a team,
Alonso is an everyday player.
I understand that, and I completely get it. But if you want to look at how many pitches this guy gets a game, and that's fine. But for you to put Edwin Diaz at 3, who's a closer and pitches probably a quarter,
the fucking 2-time reliever of the year, dude. He is the most impactful fucking pitchers in the league.
Who's the best pitcher in baseball right now?
Shohei.
Okay, who's been top 5?
I don't even know.
Who's top 5 the last 5 years?
Your boy's gonna be up there,
and he's not. You're gonna put Sauce Gardner as a better athlete than Garrett Cole? Are you nuts? Yes. You're gonna put Dexter Lawrence as a better athlete than Garrett Cole? Are you out of your mind?
I'm not out of my mind.
Oh my God, this is the bias. That was all bias.
There's no bias.
That is insane. That is actually a crazy thing.
Garrett Cole pitches 1 out of every 5 games, dude.
I understand that, but he's one of the best pitchers in baseball the last 5 years. If he's on your team, you're automatically way better.
That's why he's an honorable mention.
Oh my God, that is fucking crazy, dude. That is nuts. I don't agree with that whatsoever. But all right, whatever. I guess we'll move on to Philly. That is crazy. When I said that I was gonna have 4 guys, he got kicked off. But when I went through mine list, I said Saquon wasn't number 1. I put Josh Allen at 1, Rodgers at 2, Judge at 3, and then I was split between Garrett Cole and Saquon Barkley at 5. Because to me, Garrett Cole is one of the best pitchers in baseball for the last 5 years or so. He's got to be on there. But all right, whatever. We'll get to the Philly list now as he tries to come back from that horrible
technical
pitch. All right, here he's back. All right, so here we go. All right, here we go. Number 1, and this has been the reason we're discussing this topic is because the way Philly Twitter has been going nuts over who they think the best athlete in Philly is, which then got us to this idea. And New York is much harder. There's no doubt. And there's also some honorable mention guys that I didn't want to leave off, but I was forced to just because of the way it is right now. So, numero uno. This is the question everyone wants to know. I have Jalen Hurts at number 1.
That's crazy.
And to me, the 3 guys, you can put any one of them at 1, and I don't necessarily have a problem with it. It's very debatable, and the theme of this list, honestly, is it's dominated by Eagles players.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, we live in the city of Philadelphia. I went tie goes to the Eagle player. Like, essentially is what it went, in my opinion, just because if you live here, that's pretty much what goes on.
Yeah.
So to me, part of being an athlete, not part, but even half, especially in the city where, sports radio is big, you get shat on every single day if you don't have a big game.
Mm-hmm.
Half of it is up here. To me, that's huge. And if you look at the top 3, obviously the next 2, Harper and Embiid, are the 2 guys outside of Hurts that can be debated to go number 1. I'm putting Hurts at 1 because that's what he's got. And you can talk about that one play in the Super Bowl, but we don't get there without him. And his commitment, his drive, his mental toughness and ability to lead, I wouldn't really say is a strength or the first thing I point to when I go to athlete. But since all these 3 guys are so close and it's like splitting hairs, I'm going to that because this guy every single day out-toughs everybody. And that's what I love in my quarterback. That's what I love in the city of Philadelphia. That's what you need. That's what drove Carson Wentz out of town. That's what drove Ben Simmons out of town, all these guys. And I think he'll remain here forever. I'm not caught up in the one season stuff.
Yeah.
I think he'll be like that forever just because of this up here. And that's huge for me. That's why he's number 1 for me. And number 2 is going to be Bryce Harper. And
wow.
That
could not be even your boy Embiid.
No,
That's crazy.
And again, Embiid is my boy, no doubt about it. And it's so close, you got to split hairs. Again, as I said before, the reason I'm going Harper over Embiid is because I look at Hurts, I look at Harper, I look at all the 2. Hurts doesn't have an MVP. Harper and Embiid both do. But what I do look at, and it's hard to say team success. I don't want to judge them off team success because I know that there's more that goes into it. However, when Jalen Hurts is under center at a big down, and when Bryce Harper is at bat in the box at a big moment in a big-time game, I am 1,010% confident that they will deliver. That's what they've proven to me in their 2 careers. Again, the Hurts turnover, big play, massive play, no doubt about it. But, he was unbelievable in that game outside of that one play. They have absolutely no shot at that game if he doesn't play the way that he does. So I have Harper at 2 just for that reason. It's so close. And again, if you haven't beat at 1, I don't have a problem with it. But game 6, game 7, where are you? And I have a problem with that because that's what goes into being an athlete, especially in a big city, a big market like Philadelphia. You're going to get criticized. You're going to get shit every single time you step on the court. And I love him. I root for him. He's my guy. And it's hard for me to do this, but Harper and Hurts have proven that they are winners, and it's tough for me to admit that it might not be Embiid's time as a winner right now in Philadelphia. It's remained to be seen, and for that reason, I have him at 3. So I think this is the pretty obvious top 3. I think we're going to get into a commercial right now and cut short, and then I'll give you the rest of the top 10 on the way down. So let's cut.
Hey, Birds fans, the NFL schedule has arrived and Philly Sports Trips has all the details now. Visit the site phillysportstrips.com. This is sure to be an epic season. Be sure to go there now to make sure that you don't get shut out. Join us in Tampa, LA, Seattle, or when we get revenge in Kansas City. Don't want to fly? No problem. Gather up your crew and hop aboard one of our signature boisterous bus trips to DC or New York. Sign up now and make sure to mention A2D. Don't miss out on the best Philly fan experience anywhere. Philly Sports Trip customers always stay at the best hotels and meet NFL legends. Book today.
Shout out Philly Sports Trips. Eagles season's coming soon. Don't forget to take a look at that and, take a tour. Why not? Go across the country. See the birds. Fuck it. Have a good time. Enjoy yourself. All right. Let's get back into the list. So this is when the list really starts. Obviously, those 3 guys you could put in any order, and I don't really have a problem with it. But this is where it gets really complicated. All right, so tough looks here, but I got Lane Johnson at 4. That could be a shock to some. He hasn't allowed a sack in 2 years. Can we take a second? And it didn't matter if it were Micah Parsons, didn't matter who the hell he was going up against. He shuts them down. And you talk about the edge being a premier position in the NFL, and I'm going to get into that in a second. Same time, he shuts that shit down every single time.
If you're putting Brandon Graham in here.
No. I'm not.
Okay.
He shuts that shit down every single time, no matter who the edge is. In 2 years, he hasn't allowed a sack. That is huge. When he's hurt, they are a completely different team. I remember the Dallas game at home last year. They come out to a huge lead. I believe they're up by like 20. He comes out. He gets hurt in that game. He out the rest of the game. Dallas automatically starts to come back, and it just seemed like a big scare. He was out. They were a much worse team without him. I'm terrified of the day that he retires. Lane Johnson's at 4. And again, very fluent list. I have no problem with anybody having a problem with this list because it's hard to do.
No, it's very hard to do.
All right. Number 5, I have A.J. Brown because this guy, when we added him to our team, it was like a whole new dynamic. I believe he's a top 5, 6, 7, something like that without thinking about it, receiver in the league. Sure. He's just so dynamic. And for years, I do have some bias a little bit with this one because for years we were looking at why the hell can't we get one of those guys? Well, every year we have to look at the CeeDee Lambs. Back in the day, we had to look at, Des Bryant, OBJ, all these guys that came every single day and just destroyed us. We finally have a big-time receiver. A little bit of bias here, I'm not going to lie, but I have AJ at 6. And then
AJ at 5.
Here we go. I got my boy. Oh, 5. Yeah, right. I got my boy Hassan Reddick.
Wow.
This guy, the last 3 seasons, he's been on 3 different teams. He's had double-digit sacks in all 3 teams. You talk about a premier position in the NFL, you go quarterback, you go receiver. Then I think next, or arguably second, is getting the quarterback on the ground, the edge rusher. That is huge. That's something the Eagles pride themselves on. That's something that they won Super Bowls with. They've gotten the Super Bowls with. They don't get there without him. He's still got 49er fans crying over some bullshit that he did injuring the 2 quarterbacks. I got a little shot at 49er fans real quick. If you got a problem with your quarterbacks getting hurt, how about we block? I feel like that's step 1. And they couldn't block Hassan Reddick that day, so there you go. He was the MVP of that game for me, for us to go to the Super Bowl. And then I got my boy, maybe could be higher, could be lower, but I found a good in-between area. Maybe some bias here. I just love this guy way too much. My guy, Jason Kelce. Just an absolute Philly legend, dog, one of the best centers in the game, transcended the position.
The best.
Yeah, at first I mean ever. I've now no doubt, but like ever, because you look at, he's a Hall of Famer at the center position, which is hard to do and hard to get noticed at. You look at before he was playing, you're talking about guys drafting bigger, less agile, bigger guys that can just plow defensive tackles.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Kelce changed the game. You look at Kansas City, you look at Baltimore, all those guys that play center for them, I'm forgetting name. I think Creed Humphrey's the one name, and then I forget the guy at Baltimore's name. That's going to kill me. I think he's from Oklahoma or something like that. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I see you, Sholo, man. Yeah, I got him in the – I saw your comment earlier. I got to you. Kelce here, no doubt about it. He transcended the position. All these guys, the reason that they got picked in the first round, wherever they got picked, is because Kelce proved you can be agile, you can be smaller, athletic, out in the open, out in space. That's where he thrives. And it's, hey, I'm going to be honest. You got to be damn good at the center position to get like this. There's not more things I enjoy more than watching Jason Kelce run in open space and just plowing people. I mean, it is fucking awesome. It's sick to see. Philly legend. Really hope he sticks around till he's like 80 years old. I love him, man. Drink a beer for Jason Kelce for me. Here we go. All right, number 8. Again, another Eagle. Devontae Smith. I got him at 8.
Jesus.
I think he's very underrated. Yes, Sholo, man. That's the guy I was thinking of. Shout out. Good stuff. I got Devontae Smith at 8. If you look at Jalen Hurts and his progression, I think that, it points to Devontae Smith. If we don't draft Devontae Smith there, we are, screwed. He transcended the offense, made it different. And he's a Heisman at the wide receiver spot. I know, he didn't win the Heisman in Philly, but same time, he is an absolute stud. One of the first great receivers we've gotten on our team. He was the start of the change around here in Philly. Had a very underrated season. He had 1,000 yards as the number 2 guy. He's one of the best number 2 guys in the NFL. He could easily, no doubt in my mind, be a number 1 receiver on pretty much most teams in the NFL and not have a team needing another receiver. I think he's that good. He could definitely be a number 1 receiver in the league. And here we go at number 9. This was tough. I wanted to put a Philly at this spot, and it's really hard. It's tough. There's a lot of guys that can go here, but I decided to go with JT Realmuto just because of the consistency at the position. He's one of the best catchers in the league. It's been like that for a while. And it's hard. It's hard leaving out Trey Turner. It's hard leaving out Castellanos. It's really hard. And if you want to do that and put them there, I have absolutely no problem with it. None. Again, do whatever you want. It's just hard right now to make a Philly top 10 list and put Trey Turner there because he hasn't been doing that great. And Castellanos has been awesome, and that's really hard to put. It was him or Castellanos.
Yeah.
It was him or Castellanos. And Stott, too. Shout out to him and Bohm.
Stott hasn't done much yet, and Bohm, Stott and Bohm you can leave out. Turner.
Well, Stott's been unbelievable. Stott lately's been unbelievable.
No. Don't get me wrong. He's been unbelievable for the Phillies, but I don't think I'd put him in my Philly top 10. Granted, I didn't write one down, but I'll give you my thoughts after you finish your 10.
Right. Again, whatever your critique is, I'm going to be okay with it. It was really hard. So I completely understand if people have another Philly in here. No doubt about it. That's completely fine with me. And here it comes. This is it. This is going to get the views. This is going to get the talks. This is going to get the hot takes. This is going to get everyone going.
Let's hear it.
No, I do not have that fat fuck on this list. I actually have Tyrese Maxey. Biggest bias, no doubt in my mind. I'm the biggest Tyrese Maxey guy there is.
And
call me an idiot. Call me whatever you want. Tyrese Maxey, I just wanted him on this list. Castellanos, probably, maybe you could put above Tyrese Maxey. Trey Turner, in terms of career length and consistency, you probably could do that too. But I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to put my boy here just because I want to shout him out. Again, if you take away the ball-dominant players in that Maxey's played with, let's just take a second. I've said this on recent shows, and I'll say this again. Shout out Jason, A-Team. That's my boy there in the comments. Maxey's our future. No doubt about it. I'm with you 110%. Let's look at this. His rookie year, he shared the court with Ben Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just call it what it is, okay? That's hard to do, especially when you're not even the best player on your team. So if you're not the ball-dominant player, the guy bringing up the court, and you have Embiid on your team, who is the best player on the team, he had to share the court with Ben Simmons. And then next, he had to share the court with James Harden, who has the ball of 80% of every single possession. Every single time we have the ball, he waits till there's 8 to 6 seconds left in the shot clock, and then Maxey gets it.
Mm.
So to me, if he had the usage of Harden, I believe, first of all, Harden wasn't an all-star.
My lord.
He wasn't an all-star. And so if you want to give him the usage of a James Harden, there's no doubt in my mind he'd be an all-star because he put up great stats without having the ball for 80% of the possession like James Harden did. And I think, again, we'll talk about it maybe later on if we have time, but the Sixers are better off without James Harden. We've talked about in the past, and we're better off with Tyrese Maxey running the point. Jason, shout out again. I think Maxey can play point. I completely agree. I think he gets he gets way too much shit about the way that he can't facilitate an offense because of his size. How do we know? We don't know. We just want to say that because he's smaller. I think it could be done in a different way. I think the ball would pop more. I think it would just be a lot more screen and roll. If he turns the corner off that big-ass body of Embiid, Tyrese Maxey is one of the quickest players in the league. He's also one of the best around the rim in the league. So there's no proof of him being a facilitator because we've never given him the chance. So I got Tyrese Maxey at 10. I don't want to freak out there. And honorable mentions again. Castellanos was the hardest to leave off this list. Trey Turner, Stott, Bohm on other Phillies that probably I could see being in this list maybe. And Dallas Goedert, maybe I could see here potentially being in here. Can't think of any other guys. James Harden, absolutely not. Fuck him, no. Yeah, that's it for me. I can't really think I can't come up with another guy there.
Yeah.
So
honestly, no, I honestly like at first I was pretty like stumped off your list, but I mean, granted, I don't think you could put a flyer in here.
no, I mean
obviously
another maybe honorable mention, maybe, but he also might be
not
traded
even, not even.
Yeah, probably not even.
Kelsey, I think you honestly could have put at 5. I think you could have put Kelsey at 5, and then you could have interchanged Brown and Kelsey, and then Devontae Smith. I don't know. I think I'm putting either Trey Turner or JT up there, and then the bearded dragon. I mean, I don't know how you could leave him off. Granted, I know you have your hatred for him, and I'm all for it. I'm here.
I'm sorry. If a non-Philly person made this list and put James Harden on it, I wouldn't blink. I feel like it's fine.
No, 100%.
For me, the position I have on James Harden, for me to put him on a top anything that's positive in a way that promotes the way that he plays currently in the NBA for my team that I love and root for whatever reason, I just couldn't do it. I'm sorry. I couldn't do it. I don't have a problem with you wanting him in the list. I couldn't do it. That couldn't happen.
Let's touch on Jason's comment. What do you think about Embiid wanting Harden back? I thought it was honestly pretty interesting, that because Embiid is a center. Granted, centers don't really need the ball. Embiid is one of the 2 centers I think in the league that needs the ball in his hands. And Harden takes the ball out of his hands. He'll dump it into the paint with Embiid having 4 seconds on the shot clock, and it's Embiid taking a stupid fadeaway shot. Granted, when Embiid gets the ball with 12 seconds, it's when he can make something happen. So I was a little surprised that Embiid saying that he wants Harden back. Granted, he does have a lot of love for him, obviously playing a couple of years with him now, but I thought it was very interesting and very eye-opening.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't even think of that, Sholo.
Well, no. If we're making an all-time, if we're making in their prime, there's no doubt in my mind Fletcher Cox is on this list, but he has not been good the last 2 years. He's not even a starter anymore for a reason, so there's no way that you could put him over anybody in this list. I'm sorry. And I love Fletcher. I'm happy he's back with the team. So I don't want to sound like a hater. I love him. He was a big part of our Super Bowl team, but he's not the same player anymore. Hargrave was better than him last year. I'm not saying Fletcher Cox is dog shit. I'm not saying that, but he's not close to the level of the 10 guys currently that are on this list. He's a productive defensive tackle in the league, but I'm not putting him ahead of anybody here. That's just not going to happen. In terms of the Embiid thing, what I think about it, I'm not really all concerned with what he said. Because, like, what else was he going to say? They asked him, what do you think about Harden leaving? Number one, he won the MVP this year, and whether he wants to admit it or not, and I don't have a problem with him aiming for the MVP. That's fine with me, but come postseason play, we got to forget about it and move on. I kind of have a problem with people making a big deal about this because he won the MVP, okay? And the 1 year he won the MVP was when he had James Harden for a full season. So, of course, he's going to sit up here and say, I want James Harden back. That's number one. Number two is, what was he going to say? No. Like, he wasn't going to be like, no, blah, blah, blah. The only thing people are taking from it is that he said, that's my boy forever, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. I'm sure James Harden's a really fun person to be friends with. He go out to the clubs. He's having a good time. I don't love James Harden on the court right now as a Philadelphia 76er, but I would love to be – I'd love to be boys with James Harden. There's no doubt in my mind. So I'm not taking much stock from that. I also don't think that you can take much from it because I don't think that they move on from James Harden if Daryl Morey didn't at first go up to Embiid and be like, hey, we're doing this. We think it's for the betterment of our team, blah, blah, blah. I feel like he would have to sign off on that if you're going to make such a big move like that, especially nowadays, seeing superstars go in and out of their contracts, requesting trades the way that they do today. So I'm not putting much stock into it for me. That's not that big of a deal for me at all. Yeah, that's not much for me there.
All right. Closing remarks on that. Definitely one of our hardest segments so far. I feel like,
Yeah, no doubt.
Top 10. Obviously, I think in the future, inching towards football season, we can start ranking maybe even like quarterbacks or running backs next week. We'll start off with something, but I feel like the ranking definitely got the fans involved. So we'll move forward with that. On to our next segment, which is Mets and Phillies weekly recap. Hold on, let me get up my notes on the Mets or the Mets actually. So one sec. It's gonna pull up for me. It's not going to.
Yeah, Jason, I do see that he did say they're best friends for life, but again, I'm sure he loves being boys with James Harden. I would too, and I hate James Harden on the court, but I would love that. That would be awesome.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
All right. Moving on to the next segment, Mets, Phillies. Mets had a
wait. 1 second while we have this guy in the chat, just for a second. I see that my boy says that Daryl Morey stinks. I don't have a problem with that take. It's very hard to be patient. There's no doubt. I'm impatient myself. However, I find it hard to believe the way that he chases stars, the way that he loves mixing shit up like that. And I don't blame you for having your position at all. I completely see where you're coming from in terms of you being impatient. I get it. And there's Sixer fans all over Twitter feeling the same way. No doubt. I think he has something up his sleeve. I hear it every day. Brian Windhorst, he has something up his sleeve. He has something up his sleeve. It's early. It's hard to think it's early, but it's early. They didn't have much money going into the offseason. There wasn't much for them to do anyway. So all they were going to do is through trades regardless. So let's see if they make a trade. And before the season, if there's no trade, we can come back and say Daryl Morey stinks. I have no problem with that. But let's just wait a bit. But again, I get your frustration completely.
All right. Starting off Mets, they won Sunday. I'm like, we might get something going. We got a win on Tuesday, 8-5. Scherzer dominant, 6 innings, 9 Ks. Unfortunately, 4 earned runs. But he did receive the win in the end. Marte with a 3-run homer, and then Nimmo and Alvarez had a homer. Alvarez with what a fucking week. Wednesday I went to bed in about the seventh inning. We were down 1-0. I'm like, we're like two wins is nothing. We're done. Um, so I wake up and my dad's like, the Mets won. Like, holy fuck! And I look at it. Senga, absolute dominance. 8 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 12K. Ninth inning comeback. Alvarez game tying homer, and then Canha RBI triple to take the lead. Mark Canha, I slandered you in the past shows because Tommy Pham has took your spot, but goddamn respect for that go ahead RBI. And then Thursday, Carrasco with 8 innings pitched, 0 earned runs. They got the 9-0 win. Alonso, Alvarez, Lindor all go yard, and we sweep the D-backs. So I'm feeling pretty good going into our series with the Padres. Obviously, Padres very underwhelming season right now. You know they got the stars. They got Soto. They got Tatis. You got Bogarts. You got Machado. So I'm not expecting much. I mean, I was hoping to get one or two. Granted, we got the first one on Friday, 7-5 win. Verlander, 6 inning pitch, 3 earned runs, winning in extras with clutch RBIs for McNeil, Alvarez, and Lindor. And then Robertson came in, let up a 2-run shot, I think, to Machado, but then Drew Smith, my least favorite Met of all time, comes in and closes the game out. Thank God. Saturday, 3-1 loss. Peterson, 5.1 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, 7 Ks. Alvarez solo homer just keeps on fucking going. Um, Honestly, one of the best catchers in baseball right now. I won't say the best because you still got guys like Sean Murphy. You could argue for fucking JT. There's a bunch of other guys in the AL and NL that I'm forgetting about. But then Sunday, wrap up the week with a loss, 6-2. Scherzer got fucking rocked by Machado, 2 dingers, 2 cock slaps off of him. 5 innings pitched, 7 Ks. Canha with 2 RBIs, 4-2 record during the week. Pete Alonso just got fucking mollywopped in the first round against Julio Rodriguez. I think it was like 41-23 was the final score. Julio ended up losing to Vladdy actually ended up winning, which we'll touch on the home run derby in a little bit after you go over the Phillies. But also, could I sang a shout out first year coming over from Japan? Obviously, not easy to do. He's been getting the 5-day rest after getting the 6-day rest in the beginning of the season. But shout out to you, 3.31 ERA, 7-5. Got the call up to the All Star game, which the All Star game, by the way, this year is it's weird with some of the guys that made it. Definitely, other guys deserved it that didn't get in, and some guys got in that didn't deserve it. So definitely very weird. But those are my takes. We'll see after the All Star break what they do, if they're buyers, if they're sellers. My guess is they'll sell. You got Tommy Pham, granted, just got hurt yesterday, so let's hope he's all right so that we can sell him. Great, great utility outfielder that can definitely help a playoff team along the road, along with Mark Canha. Let's see what they can do, but it's not looking too hot for the Mets right now. Maybe even Scherzer's on the move. We'll see, but that's all I got for the Mets. What do you got for the Phillies?
Yeah, pretty productive road trip. I'll try to be quick because I see the comments are going nuts about the Sixers still, so we'll get into that a little bit, give the people what they want. But Phillies, 4-2 road trip, can't really complain. Started out 4-0, so to lose the last two, kind of tough. But hey, you look at it, going to a 6-game road trip, the goal, honestly, win 4 games, and you did that. It does suck to lose 2 in a row, especially if they're the last 2, but you'll take it. It's fine. I think you got to be happy with the way you ended towards the end going into All-Star break. Hey, it's a new season, so we'll see what happens. Nola needs to be better. People are calling for him to be a bit better. Wheeler's got to be a bit better. But the bullpen's been really good, so good stuff there. That's got to continue to be strong. And maybe, the resurrection of Trey Turner's coming soon, Kyle Schwarber. So the best is yet to come with the Phillies, I believe. So I guess we'll see. All reasons to be optimistic. I think you look at their stars, not disappointing years, but kind of not as what you'd hope, especially Harper, getting hurt and then coming back and having a tough time. Schwarber's another guy that's been really disappointing. And the pitching hasn't been great. I'm not going to call him like horrible, but it hasn't been great. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, yeah. I'm feeling pretty good about the Phillies. I think considering where they are and all that's happened. You also got to be happy about guys like Stott and Bohm giving you good stuff there. Patchy, another guy that came in and hit a walk-off the other day.
That was
Cache,
crazy.
unbelievable stuff, though. Good stuff for him.
Yeah.
All right,
You
so
want me to
let's.
touch on the home run derby real quick, and then we can get into the Sixers?
All right, yeah, because I want to get these kids.
Yeah. No, I understand. Derby, we had Arena Garcia first round. Arena beat him. And then second matchup was Adley versus Robert. Shout out Adley. He put on a fucking show. I mean, in the bonus minute, he came up and he batted righty and fucking just nuked it. It was something to watch. You know, a switch hitter. But Luis Robert unfortunately beating him 28-27. Then you had Mookie against Vladdy. Vladdy fucking knocked Betts out of the park. It wasn't even a matchup. And then Pete and Julia. It sucks to see my guy go like that, but Julia, shout out to you in the home field. Absolute slugfest. Second round, you had Randy against Luis Robert, and Randy took it. Beating Luis Robert, and then you had Vladdy against Julio. Vladdy taking down the hometown hero, and Vladdy eventually going on to win it, beating Arena. So shout out Vladdy. You know, had some experience with the home run derby. Has a lot of power. Don't know how he did it with his lack of endurance. You know, he's a big fucking guy, but shout out to Vladdy. So yeah, let's get into some Sixers talk real quick before we get the shout out of the week and end the show.
All right. I want to go back to this Daryl Morey stinks comment because I have a theory. There's no proof of it being true whatsoever. Genuine theory. Obviously, I'm just a kid from South Jersey. I don't know shit. I have no inside sources. None of that. It's just me thinking up here. This is interesting. The Sixers have a track record of paying players and not being afraid to do so. They've paid Al Horford. They've paid Jimmy Butler. They didn't pay Jimmy Butler. They paid Al Horford. They paid Embiid. They paid Ben Simmons. They paid James Harden. They paid Tobias Harris. They've paid all these guys a lot of money, and never once have you heard one thing about luxury tax. Not once. All of a sudden, Daryl Morey is looking to get off of his boy, his ride or die James Harden, and all of a sudden we're hearing about the luxury tax. It forces me to believe that you have an owner that now owns 3 teams. He's about to buy his 3rd team. He owns the Devils. He's about to buy the shitty-ass Commanders. And he has the Sixers, too. I don't know. It's just a thought. Obviously, I don't know anything. I'm just putting it out there. Is it possible that this guy doesn't want to go into the luxury tax because he's about to own a 3rd team? And he's very uncomfortable paying stars and other rotational pieces and other players that he doesn't feel completely comfortable in going into the second round, going past the second round, excuse me. It's just a thought. I believe it to be very possible that the owner's sitting up and he wants to save his money. Now, if I'm the owner, I'm kind of the same way. I'm not going to lie. But as a fan, I don't want an owner that's going to think like that. I want an owner that's going to pay all his money whenever he can to make sure that we win. So, to me, it's just a thought. There's no proof of this happening at all. It's just, to me, the coincidence is very weird and very odd that through years of experience and working together, Daryl Morey and James Harden have been boys. All of a sudden, he wants to get off of his contract, and meanwhile, he deserves to go. There's no doubt about it. He deserves to go. He doesn't belong here. Minus 23 in the playoffs last 2 seasons. Horrible stuff. Gotta go. But I just find it hard to believe that all of a sudden, when this guy's buying his 3rd team, now Harden's gone. Now we're talking about the word luxury tax, and it took fans to beg and blow everyone on the Sixers organization to get Paul Reed back, and now you're seeing guys in the minimum. Why do you think this is? I'm about to do my Brian Windhorst real quick. Montrezl Harrell had little to no impact the entire season, little to none. He barely had any impact on the entire season. He was a cheerleader. He was a cheerleader the whole season. Why do you think that they re-signed him? And they've got Mo Bamba. and they brought back Paul Reed. I have a theory that they're trying to bring in guys just to fill roster spots so they don't have to go into the luxury tax. That was very, very easy and very, very simple for them to give him a minimum deal. He's been on the team before. He's cool with it. He knows his role. He's not going to play, and he's cool with that. He's going to sit there as a cheerleader. I don't have a problem with Montrezl the person at all, but the signing is very questionable. So Josh Harris, a little shot at you real quick. Get your shit straight, because this luxury tax stuff, again, I'm making it up. This better not fucking be true, because you live in the city of Philadelphia. This is not New Jersey Devils hockey. This is not Washington Commanders football. This is the Philadelphia 76ers. This organization's been around for a damn long time, and this fan base means more than any of those other two fan bases combined. Get your shit together. I don't want to hear a word about this fucking luxury tax ever again. You get your shit rid. We need your money, because Embiid's not good enough, clearly, to get past the second round. We need your money. And if your money's not going to do it, then get the hell out of there. Sell the team and give someone else the money that will do it for us. That's my rant for the day on the Sixers real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised they brought back B-Ball Paul after the Utah Jazz offered him.
Well, again, the only reason I think that they did that was because they were actually getting reamed, like destroyed on. If they didn't do that, like basketball aside, if they didn't do that, they would have been destroyed, and people would never respect them again, because then that luxury tax really would be an alarm and be like, what the fuck's going on in Philly?
Fair.
But finally, they bring back one of their young pieces that they developed. I mean, thank God. He deserves to be back. I mean, for that contract, no doubt about
it. He'll be playing the 4 now, I think.
Well, either 4 or 5, it doesn't really matter to me, because backup 5 for the Sixers is the most valuable backup position, arguably, in the league. We need a good backup 5.
He's a piece of glass.
So finally, we found a good backup center. Pay him. He's young. I'm very happy they did that. But the luxury tax thing, very concerning. Something to look out for in the future.
Yeah. All right. Let's start off with the shout out of the week before we sign off. So my shout out, I didn't look into it too much, I gotta be honest, but one thing that stuck out to me was the combined no hitter from the Tigers. You know, a team like the Blue Jays, they got Whit Merrifield in the All-Star game. They got Bo Bichette. They got Vladdy Guerrero. I don't know if Gosman made the All-Star team, but he's a great starting pitcher. Romano, I believe, made it, their closer. Matt Chapman, one of my biggest snubs. Kevin Kiermaier, you could also argue for. George Springer, again, a great, consistent guy. This Blue Jays lineup is a great lineup. And to shut them out, to have them get no hits throughout a whole game, as the Tigers team who has been struggling tremendously in the past 5 years. I don't even know when the last time they've been to the playoffs is. But to shut them out and to win, have a combined no-hitter is very, very impressive. So hats off to the Tigers. Shout out my boy Miguel Cabrera. I think it's his last year. But on the way out, he's doing some great things right now. So that was my one shout out of the week. If I can think of another, I'll say it, but let's hear yours.
Mine's like a half shout out and a half kind of like questionable diss kind of thing. Yeah. I'm going to shout out Matt Turner and the U.S. Gold Cup team right now. Again, I've been doing this for a while, but one of the more entertaining soccer games I've ever seen. I'm a soccer junkie, so yeah. If you watch it, I know it must have been entertaining.
I watched the shootout. My
wow.
boy was like, yo, like this game's going to a shootout.
No, if you were watching it, that should show. Unbelievable game. Shout out Matt Turner, unquestionable goalkeeper for the World Cup team, the A team. And here's my diss. And this isn't really much on the U.S. team. I guess it is. I'm taking a shot at the U.S. team. I get it. There are a lot of countries that throw out their B and their C teams, and you claim that this is like your B.5 C team, whatever you want to say. Fine. You're at a stage right now in soccer where you're finally proving to people like me who pay attention and watch that you're a top 10 country in the world. Finally, it's taken a while, but it's gotten here, and we're at the point now. No, we can compete with the higher tier countries in the world in soccer. Do me a favor, okay? I get it. It's fun. It's cool to see as an organizational standpoint. You're trying to build a program and trying to fill out your roster. You want to see what's there. Cool. You're trying to promote to the rest of the country that you're the best, one of the best countries in the world now, that you're developing, and that people should give a shit about it outside of me, like the junkies that will watch any kind of game. There's nothing else on right now. Nothing. You think that many people care about watching a regular season baseball game? You're nuts. They have a chance to watch their country, and I don't give a damn.
By then. All the
Right.
regular
Well,
season
all
games
right.
are
But
over
what
by
I'm saying, I don't give a damn how big of a baseball fan you are. If your country's playing in something, especially here in the U.S., a lot of guys will watch it.
then.
So
100%.
this is, if there's any time to promote your team, if there's any time to promote the Pulisics, the Robinsons, the Peñas, those guys of the world that are the best players in the country, you're trying to prove that you're up there finally. It's right now. There's nothing going on. Nothing. This is it. This is the only thing that we got going on. So can we please stop with this seats? And I'm not throwing shade at anyone that's playing right now. Shout out to them. That was a big win. They play Panama on Wednesday. Big game for them there. That should be very competitive toss-up game. But, hey, I want to see the main guys. And I don't give a shit if we run through the whole cup because, if anything, that's a good thing. Then the whole country's like, wow, did you see them destroy Panama and Canada and Mexico and all these? Because that's what they did before. I want to see it again. Prove it to everyone because then people will actually give a shit.
All right, I think that's it. We want to give one last shout out to our sponsor, FanUp. Ralph. FanUp is the best way to enjoy fantasy sports, daily MLB contests, and more. Win great prizes. Sign up today. Use promo code A2D for 5,000 bonus points. That's a $50 value. FanUp in the App Store. Want to say thank you again to all our viewers. Had a lot of good comments in the comment section, so definitely enjoyed interacting with all of you guys. Luke, any last words?
Yeah, keep commenting, and we're talking about maybe if you keep commenting and we notice your username up here a lot in the comments, maybe getting you on for some debate, especially in the time where basketball is done and it's pretty dry before football season. Definitely some guests on the show for a few minutes, give some hot takes, and we'll debate for a bit. So keep commenting, letting us know you're watching, and we'll see if we can get to that point.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for watching. Again, this is the Rivals podcast. I'm Jordan. He's Luke. Stay tuned next week when we start getting into some fantasy football, hopefully. So that's it. Thank you.